It's part of who I am and my nature. As you said before, I'm very direct, but I also think that as you get older, you realize that there are other words you can use to be just as direct and just as blunt without being nearly as crass or insulting. And I think I've changed in that over the last, 5 to 6 years as well. So there's some things that I would do differently if I had a chance to do it all over again. And maybe I will with the presidency.
So I want to ask you the real leadership question, okay? I think about this often in my own life, okay? And I have my list. Are there things that you could have handled differently or better? And if so, what were they?
Oh, a number of things. If I had to do all over again, there's a law in New Jersey, Anthony, that allows retired police officers and firefighters and other public sector workers to get paid at the end of their careers for their sick time, unused sick time. So I always thought the benefit of having paid sick time was if you got sick, you'd still get paid. But these men and women would bank it and then get checks for $250,000, $300,000, $400,000 at the end of their careers on the taxpayer. I railed against this as governor, and I got a bill to my desk that would have capped those payments at $15,000. And I wanted it to be zero. And I vetoed the bill. And I never got another bill back. And I could have capped this thing at 15. Instead, today, now, 9 years later, they're still getting these huge checks. It was a mistake. And what it taught me was a bigger lesson, which is that, if you can get 2/3 of a loaf, you should take it and live to fight another day. Then you're only fighting between the difference between 15,000 and zero, not between unlimited and zero. On the George Washington Bridge matter, there's no doubt that the mistake I made there was some of the people that I picked to be over at the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey. And I made bad judgments there. And personnel is policy. And people there disappointed me. And I learned a very important lesson in that, which is that there is no insignificant job that you give to anybody when you're in a position like governor or president. And so I'd be much, much even more discerning than I was before because of that experience and everything that it cost me and it cost the people of our state to have people go off on a fraternity prank at the George Washington Bridge. And it wasted a lot of time and a lot of energy for everybody because of what they did. The last thing I'd say is that there were moments where when I was younger in public, I said some things that I probably shouldn't have said, used some adjectives that I shouldn't have used. It's part of who I am and my nature. As you said before, I'm very direct, but I also think that as you get older, you realize that there are other words you can use to be just as direct and just as blunt without being nearly as crass or insulting. And I think I've changed in that over the last, 5 to 6 years as well. So there's some things that I would do differently if I had a chance to do it all over again. And maybe I will with the presidency.
What do you wish you went a little harder at? Say, wow, I had that in my fingertips. I should have pushed harder.
Look, I think that if I had to do that all over again and pushed a little bit harder for stuff, I would have pushed even harder for reducing more tax rates in the state. New Jersey is so difficult, as you know, from a tax perspective for the people who live there. And I got a cap on property taxes. We eliminated the estate tax. We reduced the sales tax. We did some good things, but we never were able to get anything done on the income tax. And I think right. I wish I'd gone harder on the income tax than I did. I tried it a number of times, but I probably could have spent more political capital on that if I had thought even harder about it. I think also I would have started on the drug treatment issue sooner, Anthony. I think in the beginning, I had more of a prosecutor's bent towards it and an enforcement bent. But the longer I worked on that issue, the more I understood that treatment was really important. And we made great strides in the last 3 years of my administration. But I wish I would have spent 8 years in that regard. We would have made even more progress and probably saved more lives.
I appreciate you answering these questions with such candor because I do believe, and I know you believe this as well, that good leadership requires that level of self-accountability. A lot of times you hear somebody say, I've never made any mistakes, as Mr. Trump is wont to do, then you're in trouble because, you'll enjoy this, Governor. I was with him when Mike Bloomberg called him. and to congratulate him on the presidency. Obviously, Mike was with Christie. With Hillary Clinton, and he says to President Trump, "I just want you to go out and hire the best people." And you know what Trump says to him? "I actually don't need to do that. You know why, Mike? I'm the smartest person. I'm the best person. I don't need to do that." And that was heard by like 5 or 6 people that were in the room. So it's not like it's as Trump says, he can say fake news all he wants, but people heard it and saw it. It is what it is.